sharing my story on how and why I became a magic judge. So, slide. So yeah, I learned about magic and started playing on the tail end of Journey into Nyx. So by the time the next core set was released, I experienced my first tournament where a judge was helping out. It was a pre-release, M15 pre-release, and I was struggling mightily building a sealed deck for the first time. So after the judge saw me get absolutely destroyed in round one by Wella no less. So the judge sat with me and talked to me about the basics of building sealed decks and what I could do with my pool. So call it outside assistance. But after that, my pre-release experience was smoother and more enjoyable. So that was the first time I appreciated the value of the man in the black shirt seated in the corner. Before that, I thought that guy was just one of the TO's attendants for the store. I didn't even know about judges or the practice of judging. Uh, but then it was at that point that I realized, hey, this magic judging thing is actually pretty cool. So yeah, to cut the long story short, that judge who taught me that day eventually became my mentor and the judge to certify me as level one. I've been judging since 2016, and I've worked with different DOs, players, and other judges in quite a few places since then. So I created this presentation as a reflection on my experiences and on the value of being able to experience working with a judge for the first time. So in comes a new challenger. So I experienced the value of having a judge in a face-to-face setting, working with the judge in a face-to-face setting. But then, what if I replayed my experience with the challenges presented by the pandemic? So, going to how pre-releases are conducted these days, or at least for the past few sets before in-person play was sort of allowed in some places. How would it be different? So the TO would have shipped me my PR kit and I would be fumbling on my desk with this webcam pointed at me and my phone cam pointed at my table while I switched from tab to tab, reading guides on how to make a sealed deck, watching YouTube videos. I would have set spoilers open in another tab, and then I would be checking those spoilers, trying to determine how a card my opponent played works, assuming I don't recognize the card at all, and because his camera is blurry and whatnot. So after 4 rounds of that that kind of pre-release, I'm not sure I would be inclined to sign up for the pre-release of the next set, assuming it's going to be conducted the same way. So there are definitely different challenges now that we face-to-face organized play is not as prevalent as it was before. Here are some questions for thought. So, from the perspective of the player and from the perspective of the TO. So, could the attending judge who was running that pre-release have made my experiences better if he saw my struggles, saw me on the webcam or whatnot? Could that judge increase the likelihood of me signing up again for the pre-release of the next set? Let's flip over to the TO. So, could the judge have influenced the attendance at the event? Web pre-release? Could he have increased the number of players? And could the judge have a positive impact on my customer base, on the people patronizing these online pre-releases, and the business as a whole? So, can the judge bring in more revenue? So I believe the answer to these questions is yes. And if the answer is yes, how? Hopefully, I'm able to answer these questions with my presentation. So, presentation objectives. So, I hope to achieve the following. So, first, I want to convince you that there's something in it for you if you boost your value to TOs and players. Second, I want to look into value creation frameworks. So, how value is created in general and sort of challenge that framework. Then, using that information, highlight the value of the value of judges can further be enhanced. So third, to keep this seminar nice and focused, I'll try to spotlight ways that judges have generated value without face-to-face organized play. So, question on the title. So, what exactly does it mean to be invaluable? Technically speaking, it's to be valuable beyond estimation. Uh, Most tournament organizers know fairly well what to expect when they work with a judge. You hire a judge, you get somebody who can ensure the integrity of their event, somebody who is knowledgeable about rules and policy, and who can answer player questions and resolve player disputes. So, many players also know what to expect when a judge is around. They get a neutral arbiter who can answer their questions and resolve disputes between themselves and their opponent. So, that's their estimate of what a judge is. And I'd like to think that because we're all still here, we're all still becoming judges, those estimates are met more often than not. And nothing is wrong with that. But what if those estimates are surpassed? What if the TO and the player's estimate of what a judge is exceeded? So I'll explore that thought by highlighting another word that I'd like to associate with the practice of judging: serendipity. So those who completed their level 1 training on Judge Academy might recall the module on building your judge brand by level 3 judge Rob Mackenzie. In that module, he talks about how people care about how a judge is perceived, why you should care about how you are perceived. And at the top of the list of people who care about how a judge is perceived are tournament organizers and players. So such people who have experienced having judges around and working with judges more or less know what they're looking for in a judge. Not going too deep into the way the human brain works, it appears easier to recall something extreme rather than something typical. This is why when you buy a product or service and you get exactly what you paid for, you're likely not to say anything. But when you don't get what you paid for, you feel negatively about it, you write a sternly worded email to the company, or you rant about them on social media. Conversely, when you find something good without looking for it, you get a positive feeling that's on the opposite end of the spectrum. You put someone in a position to remember the positive feeling, that experience. And when the feeling is strong enough, you speak about it and you write about it. Having a people verbalize a judge's impact on others shapes a judge's brand, as described in the Judge Academy. So the mold is set for a magic judge by Judge Academy, but it's how each of us differ from the mold that is remembered. Fortunately or unfortunately, I'm not sure about you guys how your mind works or how you remember things, but weird definitions allow me to recall words better. So I call serendipitous experiences differently. I call them fortunate happenstances. Fortunate happenstances occur, I feel, at least when three things coincide. So there has to be a void, either slash want, or an inconvenience that is filled unexpectedly, and then a little more. So the presence of the third element changes the feeling from a sigh of relief to one of joy and gratitude. So just as an aside, I entered the conference earlier this afternoon and I saw a lot of cameras on. So I saw a lot of judges that I know, and at that point I was sporting a garb that I usually wear at home. I found it rather inconvenient that I wasn't dressed to present. I didn't know that presenters for this conference were going to have their cameras on. So that need was filled unexpectedly by my Southeast Asia judge shirt, which unexpectedly let me squeeze myself into it today. But that was it. I was just relieved to be a little more presentable. My shirt is not a person, but it's that a little more, that next step that creates a fortunate happenstance. Kidding aside, in judging GPs, I worked with many skilled judges who really know their craft. Talented L2s who have since become level 3s, L1s and L2s who are level 3s in my head. So they're really good at what they do. They're excellent, and my brain associates them with excellence. Great, yes, but serendipitous, not quite. So one fortunate happenstance I recall distinctly was when I was struggling to communicate with players at GP Beijing back in 2018. There, the language barrier was pretty intense. And even the simplest judge calls were challenging for me if both players were comfortable speaking English. So clearly, there was an inconvenience. Unexpectedly, that inconvenience was addressed by the level 1 that I was supposed to be mentoring for that event, Judge Guan. The inconvenience was addressed, could have been addressed entirely by translation help, but not only did he translate calls for me as we went doing floor judge work, but during our break, he spent his break teaching me how to say a few numbers so that I could at least earling my way through confirming match results and issuing time extensions. So it was serendipitous. You might point out that it's different now without in-person interaction. Creating such experiences is difficult. So I'll address that concern later in the presentation, but I'll partially agree by saying that the challenges to creating such experiences are definitely different. So in the previous slides, I talked about people to whom judges are familiar. To such people, judges already have estimated value. So imagine how much easier it is to create serendipitous experiences with people who don't have any experience working with judges. So in the Philippines, there were a lot of judges certified during the pandemic. In the same vein, there were a lot of judges who opted to focus on other things in life. Some former players also returned to the game and worked towards becoming TOs and judges. And the same can be stated for both players and TOs. There are new online only tournament organizers. They only organize events on Discord. They don't have a physical store. And new players who have entered the game, the Magic community, who only have experience playing Magic in online Discord leagues and in Arena. So zero encounter with Magic judges. So making ourselves invaluable to such people creates a familiarity with judges and rekindles and for those who have encountered this before, rekindles that familiarity. Especially for those who have been away from the Magic community for some time. So more importantly, it allows the judge to create new connections and restore old ones. This is one reason why we're looking to make ourselves invaluable to these people. Providing unexpected value beyond their estimate of us is the first step towards being preferred by our customers, TOs, players, yes, fellow judges. It's just how most people's minds work. So I, for one, don't know of anyone who would be unhappy to find a foil mythic behind the rare when opening a pack. The rare is expected. Every pack has one. But the foil mythic is not. That's the first thing that's going to be in it for you. If you do decide to make yourself invaluable, you'll be preferred. And people will want you to be their judge. Let's go to something further. So what else is there? The practice of judging, even before the pandemic, was all about self-improvement already. You do a lot of things all for self-improvement. You read, you keep yourself updated, you attend conferences, you present at conferences, you hone your skills not just with interacting with people, but also presenting thoughts in front of people, putting your thoughts together in tournament reports. So we people, not just us, consume all sorts of content and learn from the best practices of others to improve our craft. So taking the next step in boosting your value and proactively making yourself invaluable to other people in the magic community allows you to balance learning and application, and it facilitates retention of all of this information that you're taking in. So it amplifies the effect of conferences you attend because you then become vehicles for the best things about playing magic and being part of the magic community, which are usually discussed during these judge conferences. I'll talk about a separate incident later on in the presentation about a judge who wanted to share the good stuff that happens in magic judge conferences. The bottom line is, with a judge around, a sophisticated game can become unexpectedly easy and convenient to play. So, answer our questions. How can I be invaluable? Uh, I hope to never be able to answer this question specifically. Realistically speaking, judges differ in terms of skill and personality. Um, the Judge Academy was created really to standardize the training that judges receive before they get certified. The practice of judging might be able to be standardized by Judge Academy modules. I'd like to think so, at least. But they can't standardize people, and they know that. Otherwise, they wouldn't come up with a module on building one's judge brand. Every judge can be invaluable in their own unique way, but there are ways to bring out something that sets you apart as a judge. And a lot of it starts with breaking out of the judge JD, the judge description, and quietly embracing an alternative role. So, alternative roles. Being a good judge is your primary role. I mean, that's what tournament organizers hire for, and that's what players expect when they see you running their event. It's your primary role, but it's the extra, the alternative role that's what starts to make you invaluable. And it starts with some good self-awareness. No? Know what you're good at. Apart from knowing the CR and the policy documents by heart, um, what are you excellent at? Are you a good speaker? Do you write well? Are you creative? Are you good with systems and technology? Do you connect well with people? Are you influential? Are you good at magic finance? Do you host games well? Stuff like that. But then apart from knowing what you can do, you need to have a target for your abilities. So choose a target for that thing that makes you distinct from other judges. Having a specific target allows you to put any extra effort that you put into the judging part of your life in a focused area within a focused group. So even though your time and your resources are limited, that amplifies the impact of any extra effort that you put in compared to doing a little extra here and a little extra there. So your alternative role, the one that you embrace in your head, shouldn't limit you. It should be open-ended. Otherwise, you're not trying to be invaluable per se. You're just changing the estimate of the value you bring as a judge. Lastly, the alternative role is more for you to embrace. So keep it on the down low than for other people. When you watch a superhero movie and you see the protagonist saving the world, you see the superhero doing amazing things, but there is still a value estimate. The superhero saves the world. And you will see that some of the extras in the superhero movie even urge the superhero to come save us, because that's the expectation. There's a superhero, you will get saved. But when the superhero, not in costume, discreetly uses his or her abilities for the benefit of someone and quietly, casually leaves the scene, it's usually something small. And the impact is not save the world worthy. So, but you see, the scene usually depicts that whoever received the benefit of the superhero's abilities, looking around, trying to find the cause of what happened to him or her. Uh, both cases involve the use of the protagonist's superpowers. But one, and I would guess it's the one with lesser impact, less earth-shaking impact, feels more like a fortunate happenstance than the other. You will always be a judge, and everyone in the magic community will always be your customers. But you don't have infinite time and resources. As such, it is prudent to choose a target for your alternative role. Only then will you be able to magnify your importance and the importance of judges in general to that select group. So let's look at a generic corporate flow for the value that you will create. So so many writers will state that value creation starts in the definition stage. Simply put, you identify what your target considers to be of value. After all, how can you create value without knowing what is valuable? There are various ways to do this, which I'll talk about shortly. But going on with the chart, next is the creation stage, where any pre-work to create the thing of value or the action of value is done. Then you deliver that value to those who stand to benefit from it. Then you go through the process of sustaining the delivery and the creation of that value by evaluating what response you get from those who received it and the process by which the value was created. Was it optimized? Was it delivered well, or was it received well? Could something be more valuable than what was delivered? So this evaluation sometimes results in the redefinition of what is considered to be valuable. I challenge this framework, particularly in our context, where we are presented with circumstances that make us function as judges remotely. I think we each have an idea of what would be valuable to other people, and it's perfectly fine to start in the creation phase when we get that urge to do more than what is in the judge JD. Redefinition and evaluation can come after the pilot run. I even challenge the part where you would like this benefit, this value to be sustained. But before I go there, uh, let's take a look at a quick example. Uh, Allow my screen to go back for black for a sec. I will share a link to a video in the Discord chat. Give me a sec. And in the Zoom chat for those who would prefer to look there. So there is. This is a quick video. I invite you to watch this. I was instructed by the admins to not play the video on Zoom as it's going to cause some major lag issues, but I encourage you to watch it in your own devices. Uh, and allow me to talk about this video. So fairly recently, I had a local level 1 judge named Carlo talk to me saying he felt that rules and policy update conferences, the ones that we attend at the start of every set, would be valuable to players at his LGS as well. So I told him why it wouldn't. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be valuable to such people. I'm just not sure whether judge conferences would uh, welcome a throng of non-judges attending the rules and policy update conferences. It's not what's usually done right now. But I didn't see why the content in the conferences that we have um, wouldn't be valuable to those people. So I guess it was his own thought that he decided to start a series where he would anticipate judges' questions about a new set and create and consolidate the mechanic spotlight videos that we commonly see released by Magic the Gathering themselves on YouTube. So I shared with you his first attempt at creating this particular series. This is the first episode. Target players at the home store. Alternatively, I referred to him here as Carlo, disseminator of conference graces. So, uh, Carlo dared to create something that he perceived to be of value. There was no market research study or anything like that to try to define what would be of value to the target. He just perceived that this would be useful. Um, to them. After a brief introduction in the video, our protagonist, our superhero, asks his audience to leave their questions in the comment section of the video. This is common for online content creators to solicit ideas for subsequent content from their audience. This what he did then allows his target, the players, to interact with it, and if necessary, redefine his definition of what is valuable. So from this feedback, he can then reassess whether he indeed created something of value by making this video, and whether or not his delivery was ideal. He put it up on YouTube, some Facebook groups, and that was it. This then takes Carlo back to the value creation cycle that was presented in the previous slide, albeit from a different starting point. So he starts in the creation phase, which is not what most authors would say or would advise. I think the urge to create something of value, especially when we are all remote from each other, just happens as a spur of the moment thing, and to try and stymie that enthusiasm for a while, to plan instead of just going for it and evaluating it as you go. I guess that might not work for everybody, but yeah. So this is what he did. Another way that we can define values by taking a goal-centered approach. So let's say you don't have perceived value, you want to think it through. You can do this by taking a goal-centered approach. So if you know what your target aims to achieve, you're in a better position to connect with what you have to offer to what they need to succeed. So if you're targeting your LGS, talk to the TO and find out what they're trying to do for business. So in the pandemic, what are they trying to achieve? Are they trying to increase player turnout in their Discord leagues? Do they have a sealed product that has been stalled because nobody really visits their store, and they're trying to move that sealed product so that they can take in more inventory? Did they try to take their single sales online, and they're trying to promote a single sales website, either by hosting Discord leagues and giving free credits to their new website by if you join the Discord league? So there's a couple of stores locally that did that. But is that a goal? So flipping it over to the player side, what are the players' goals? So are they trying to improve at playing Magic to win? Do they want to learn rules and policies so that they can play better? Do they want to collect shiny things that we usually get? Do they want to become a judge themselves? Knowing these things, determining what is of value to these people, helps you take the next step towards becoming invaluable. So once you know that what is valuable to your target, you can now provide goal-oriented support to help them achieve their goals. In this photo, two judges from Manila and south of Manila, respectively, worked a tournament way north of Manila and took on 3 players who were interested in becoming a judge, and shared the opportunity to judge the event so that these players can have hands-on experience of doing judging work. The players and the TO had an estimate, so they were hiring a head judge and a floor judge from way down south to run their big cash prize event. The estimate was exceeded. So for the players, a mentorship and internship opportunity was made available. For the TO, they created the opportunity for a local judge to be certified, such that the TO would no longer have to look far to get the services of a judge. Imagine creating the same value remotely, the same mentorship scenario remotely for someone trying to get certified at Judge Academy. Someone somehow heard about the practice of judging Magic, clicked on Judge Academy, created an account, and started working their way through the modules. but they're not very exposed to tournament magic. They're not really that experienced players, and they're struggling. Uh, Moving it over to the TO side, imagine the TO being able to organize more Discord leagues because he has more local players who are familiar with rules interaction, tournament policy, assuming it's competitive, um, answering questions on virtual tables for him. So it's possible for him to run multiple Discord leagues at the same time. Uh, Imagine what value that would create. Value is as unique as the judge creating it. I snapped this screenshot. Speaking of Discord leagues, I snapped this screenshot from the local organizer's dual commander Discord league. So the judge is Giancarlo, who also happens to be a magician and entertainer by trade, collab with a shoutcaster as a commentator for the event. So he had two audio systems going. He had one audio system while he was casting the event, and then he had another audio system directly connected to the table on Discord, so that he can step in and take calls whenever the players had questions. I was really delighted to watch this match and see a judge work an event differently virtually. There was so much entertainment value that was provided during the match. Side comments is his knowledge of the format, and and especially during the player interviews that were conducted afterwards. It makes the online tournament experience so much more special for those who join. Um, the estimate for the TO is a judge to answer questions in a complicated singleton format. Yeah, we have a judge. Great. In excess of that estimate, the TO and the players got an entertaining commentary that got players excited to join the Dual Commander League again. The value created, uh, this was from season 2, more players joined the Dual Commander League in the subsequent season. So, would I have been putting myself in his shoes? Would I have been able to do what he did? Maybe. But I doubt I would be as entertaining. I would probably nerd audiences out with my excitement for this format, which would be a different kind of value. But the bottom line is value that I can provide is different from the value that he can provide. Sometimes value doesn't even have to be created. So here I go again, challenging that popular framework. It's just a matter of us sharing it. So judges have assets that we make use of at face-to-face events. So these are the basic stuff: expertise in rules and policy, ability to provide logistical support, and whatnot. Player diplomacy, TO diplomacy, diplomacy between judges, those things. So these are assets that create an excellent tournament experience in face-to-face or organized play. But we also have things that are of value, especially remotely. So every judge has a network of players, judges and TOs and players. Listen to what another judge has to say. They're influential people. They're respected people within their magic communities, and sharing that network, that influence, to someone who can make use of it for game is giving them something of value. There are many possibilities. You can connect yourself with a TO and connect others to his online Discord links. You can be a champion for online Discord links. You can connect someone who aspires to be a judge to a potential mentor in his or her geographic location, given that now we can't really see each other too freely. The estimate for the TO and the players uh, oftentimes is just a judge who can assist. In excess of that estimate, if you use these connections, this network to help them out, the TO gets a beacon for more players, an ambassador for online play and online store sales, and a mentor for in-house players aspiring to be judges. So many other alternative roles that you can branch out to. Delivering value. So while you can always create something of value, that creation itself does not magnify or maximize the impact judges have on POs and other players, given the situation. You maximize the impact by identifying which points of connection, which channels of communication are most effective for you, and through which you can deliver the value you created. So select a channel where both you and your target are comfortable, whether it's conversing with TOs or players at common rooms of Discord or chatting on FB Messenger. Just ensure that you're comfortable and knowledgeable with the medium that you use for the delivery of value. Next, you connect with the plan at the right volume. Okay. So going back to my experience of my first pre-release, which I shared starting the seminar, I would like to think the attending judge connected with me with a plan of making my pre-release experience less confusing and more enjoyable. To that extent, he delivered value by talking me through sealed deck basics and what I could do with my pool. After that, he left me to my own devices, only stepping in whenever I could call it. I would call his attention or ask him a question. Going back to the video that Carlo created for his LGS with Crimson Vow, he made the video available on YouTube, via his LGS's Facebook page, via their Discord link, and then he stepped back and he just let the comments start rolling in on what the next content should be. Mostly chat. So knowing when to tone things down and step back after delivering value is essential. Why? That's because serendipitous moments don't usually linger. It's the unexpected nature of a serendipitous moment that makes it so valuable. With the pandemic challenges fading away after the delivery of value and watching the impact of the value from a distance after the delivery is a lot easier than having to deliver the value in person. You can't just manage it. The last part of the value creation cycle is sustaining that value. This is another part of the framework that I'd like to challenge. While this is not always possible, going through a process to attempt to sustain value doesn't hurt. No. Try to reach out to the recipient of that value that you created and determine whether what you shared was in fact valuable, if it could have been delivered better. While this does not always guarantee you the chance to continue that cycle and deliver value once again, it improves, at least gives you a chance to improve what you created the next time you deliver it, possibly already to a different target. For the judge who helped me at my first pre-release, he did it after the pre-release and asked me what I thought of what he did and if I found this practice of, judging magic cool. It's a simple way of asking feedback, but it's also a subtle way of opening the door to sharing something of greater value, I feel, which is the chance to become a magic judge. But what if your value cycle ends abruptly? Is it so bad that the framework wasn't followed? There's no part that it's not sustainable. It's just a one-time thing. Is it bad? So my answer to that is not always. While the value cycle framework I shared in the previous slide is applicable in a lot of cases, it doesn't apply in all. If it turns out that the process of value creation ends in delivery, that doesn't mean that value was not created at all or delivered at all. I'm of the position that good things become more valuable when one doesn't know when it will come or happen again. Even if the connection you made with the TO or the player is sustained, when the next judge comes along, they have this idea already. This might be special. The value that they ascribe to a judge, a magic judge, will always be boosted by that one serendipitous experience that you created. So, that being said, I hope you found something good in my presentation today, whether or not you're looking for it. Thank you, CJ, Felix, and the rest of the admins for helping me put together this presentation. I'll turn you to QJ and I'll take the questions in the chat of the Discord. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ben. It's great to hear your voice again. And thank you very much for the presentation. And we're just gonna jump right in to the next trivia.